Flosstube, it's Siri here, doing it from a new venue. I'm sorry that you can hear my phone going off, I timed that really badly. As you can see, I am dog sitting for a friend and now they all want to come over because I've started talking. No, you have to be good while I'm doing this because it's for Flosstube. They don't have any idea who Flosstube is. Say hello to my baby, Phoebe. This is Phoebe. She is... Who's that, Phoebe? Phoebe, who's this? Who's that? Who's that? Look. You can look over there, look. Who's that? You almost got a headshot then. What's the matter, my darling? What's the matter? Yes. Not my face. We don't lick my face, do we? No. Who's that? Who's it? What's the matter, Pops? This here is Sappy, who is lovely. This little face that you can see here, this is Pops. She is the grandma. And then we have Jem, who is the current mummy of a set of pups. Okay, so I've got rid of the dogs and I'm ready to record now. So if my eyes keep darting across the screen, it's because I'm recording on my iPad. So having to look over there but seeing my face there is a bit bizarre. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, so projects. I've already recorded this once before, but then I didn't really like the video I made before because I was a bit, it's the first time I've done it by myself, so it felt a bit weird, and I just thought, you know what, let's re-record and see if we can't get some semblance of normalcy going on here. So, I sadly don't have any lemon cake on me right now. I was going to because if you follow Weasley Studios, I don't know if you do, but Phil's just had his birthday and he posted a picture of his birthday cake and it was lemon, and he made the mistake of telling me it was lemon, and then I needed some lemon cake, so I went out and just bought chocolate instead because I fail at everything. So I'm gonna definitely need to pop to Tesco on the way home and pick up some lemon cake. So thanks for that, Phil. So finishes, I do not have any finishes. I've left it at home because obviously I'm not in my own house, as you know previously from the dogs. I have found a nice frame, which I will show you. I haven't found a nice frame, I don't know what I'm talking about. I found a canvas that is a good size for my Earth Dragon finish, so the next time I record I will show you that, and hopefully I'll have it all glued down and ready for you to see. Yeah, so I have been watching Flosstube all day, apart from a brief interim where I was watching some documentaries, but I was watching Flosstube and I've been watching a Buckeye Stitcher, who is quite funny actually. I love watching her. And she was talking about how she prefers her stuff in see-through project bags so that she can see what she's actually looking at, and that's what I prefer. Like, I've brought this temporary one for now because I've got a black one at home with all of my stitches in, whereas this one just has the relevant information for what's in my bag today. But I prefer to be able to see the patterns and know exactly what I'm doing. And usually they'll have my cross stitch in the front, like for instance, I'm just going to cover it up, this, which you may have seen me stitching. So yeah, so I prefer to see what I'm stitching. So new projects, I have tried not to start too many new projects because I have a tendency to get a bit carried away with new starts and then I'll never end up with the finish for you guys to see. But okay, so new project, which I've just finished. I found this project when I was cleaning out my bedroom and I remembered making it like quite a while ago. I just hadn't I just realised the telly's on in the background. I'm so sorry. It's because the puppies need some sound to go. The puppies need to know that there's sound so that they don't, basically they need to hear sound quite regularly so that they get used to the sound of people. It helps to get used to so that when they go to the new homes, they aren't completely uncivilized puppies. We try and do as much training as possible while they're here, so that when the new owners get their puppies, they are well behaved. Excuse me, I'm trying to do a video. What did I say? Good girl. Okay, so my first project is... I didn't mean to do that, I'm sorry, darling. This is... I don't know how well you can see this, because I didn't actually bring the finished picture like an idiot. Because I'm super clever. I'm sorry. I'm getting messages on my phone. I'm trying to see if I've got a piece that will actually give it away. Well, I'm sorry, I'm so disorganised. I cannot believe I'm even doing this video while I am so disorganised, because that sucks. But anyway, I will find the middle pieces, because thankfully I always print my charts with a little helpful square at the top. That means people can see where this pattern fits in. So we have the middle section, which this bit here is the black bit. This is actually an X-Wing from Star Wars, because as you can see, I'm a bit of a Star Wars fan. And if you remember from my video, you will maybe have seen my bedroom wall, the previous video Angela and I did in my room. You can see, sorry, I call her Angela sometimes, I don't know why, it's Mare. Mare's my nickname for her, that we've adopted. And I forget sometimes and just call her Angela, because that's what her mum calls her and everyone else calls her, so... anyway, stop playing with things, Siri. So, I designed Pose X-Wing because I have a real love of the X-Wings, and I will hopefully include a picture here of my Star Wars shelf where you can see my great love of X-Wings and all things Poe Dameron at the moment, because while I'm not the biggest fan of the movies themselves, which I know is blasphemy in some circles, I'm usually a huge fan of the world in which things are set. So I'm not necessarily, like with Harry Potter, I'm not the biggest fan of the books, because I am an English lit major, and apologies to everyone out there, but I can't get on with the way they're written, which, if you do, that is perfectly fine, and don't get me wrong on any of that, because I absolutely love the world that J.K. Rowling has created there. It's phenomenal. Like, I just think about the world, and I mean, it has its problems. The sorting, for one, bothers me on a lot of levels, but the whole world is just phenomenal, and I cannot believe that she thought that up on a train. So, when will I think up something that intelligent on a train? It's the same with Star Wars. Like, the extended universe was this giant, it was like all this backstory that came out in books, and I devoured every single book in the extended universe just because it was so fascinating to me. Because I love to see, I think that's why I love maps so much, especially in existing media. So, like, I have at home the Star Trek maps. Like, there's this huge, big anthology of all the maps of the Star Trek universe, as it were. So, you know, the Klingon homeworld, then you've got all of the huge planets, what am I saying? So you've got all of the different quadrants. So the Alpha Quadrant, the, you know, Delta Quadrant. You've got the whole map system, which is just fascinating to me because it opens up the wider world that these books are set in. It's a bit like Star Wars. I have the Star Wars Atlas, which gives me a page on each, say, just 1 second, I'm so sorry. I'm supposed to be keeping an eye on the, okay, I'll edit that out. So, I have the Atlas of the Star Wars world, which has a page for each planet, and then it has the wider solar systems of each part of the galaxy. So it's quite fascinating, and I do like that sort of stuff. Which is why I want the Pose X-Wing on Black Ada, because I think it would be... I'm so sorry, I keep playing with my hair. I did that all the last video. It's a nervous thing. I have anxiety, and I have weird ways of handling it, so you'll have to excuse me if I do that, and I talk with my hands a lot, and just generally I'm a mess. Just generally a mess in every way. Okay, so that was a new project that I've started because I have zero self-control. And if you have been following me on Instagram at all, well, my personal Instagram or the Jeremisi Craft Instagram, you will have seen that I have been doing a new pattern. Now what I'm not going to do is show you the pattern itself, because I've only been giving you glimpses of what I've done so far, and I've already posted this to Instagram, so it's fine. This, if you can see it, is my new Save the Bees pattern, and he has a square butt right now, a square bee butt. I'm super excited to be doing this because I've had it on my mind for a while, because there's this whole drive in the UK at the moment to save the bees. I'm not sure if it's elsewhere, but at the moment there's quite a lot of ads on TV about saving the bees. And when we went to it's our town show, it's called Stevenage Day. It's our town, it's a bit like your county fairs in the US and state fairs and stuff, but it's for our town, and there was like quite a lot of stalls and games and stuff, but there was a stall about Save the Bees, and it just encouraged me even more, because I'd mentioned last time in the video what people like to stitch, just to give me a broader range of ideas when we're creating patterns. And Michelle, I'm not really sure of her username, I'm probably going to get roasted for this, but Michelle Garrett, Bendy, Stitchy, Michelle, mentioned that she liked patterns with bees and honey, so I commented back and said that I wanted to do a pattern that was in aid of charity, where so much of the proceeds gets donated to a charity, and I thought, well, why not save the bees, because I am passionate about the bees and I think they should be saved. So that is what is happening. So I'm trying to post it as I evolve, and there will be no more pictures of that now until it is complete, because I'm determined to finish it so that I can put it up and start my new charity series, which I hope will take off and be really good. And that is all the cross stitch, I'm afraid. I tend to be more of a crocheter and a needlework. I tend to do a lot more plushie making and crochet than I do cross stitch. So I thought I would do a little bit of that in this video too. So if you're not into that, that's fine. You can just skip ahead or just stop watching. Please don't stop watching. I'm kidding, you can if you want. So what was I saying? Yes, crochet. So I brought a few of my projects with me because I thought, why not? So I'm going to get them out now so that I'm ready to discuss them with you. But I do tend to like vary my crafts, because I get quite bored very easily with one thing if I do it constantly, and to the point where it just is all I'm doing. So I try and vary the crafts I do. I am a writer too, so I try and fit that in, and I dance on a Monday with Mare. We go square dancing, actually, it's quite fun. And on Wednesdays we play Dungeons and Dragons, because I like to have quite a lot going on, so that I'm not just losing, not the love I have for something, but I'm not losing my enthusiasm for it, because there have been times when I've just been so inherent on one thing that I then will lose interest and go on to something else, which is what I don't want to happen with craft, because I love crafting. I think it's an amazing thing to do, and there are so many different types of crafts. Like, just being on Instagram has opened my eyes to the amount of crafting that goes on. I've seen people quilting, and that just looks fascinating to me, so watch this space for some quilting. So my crochet projects, I have actually managed to dig out my first crochet projects, which are in these bags, because, like I said, I like see-through bags, but that also keeps them dirt-free and dust-free and stuff. So I'm now going to introduce you to my first crochet project. Okay, so I used to buy Craft Seller magazine, and this was a pattern that was in Craft Seller magazine years ago now. I honestly couldn't tell you when. But there was this little cute cat, amigurumi, I can never say that first off. And just as a caveat, I had never crocheted before, like ever, not even in the flat. I'd never done amigurumi before. This was my very first attempt at crochet ever. And as you can see, she has some blemishes. She has like huge gaps. If we lift up her skirt, I'm so sorry. You can see that there are some colour change errors. The stitching isn't great. And I wasn't really aware of tension or anything. And this was actually listed in the magazine as an intermediate to advanced. So I don't know why I bothered trying it, but she's not the worst. And I made her a cool little scarf because I thought, oh, that'll cover it up. It doesn't cover it up. You can still see glaring errors. And she also came with a cool little headband, but for what it's worth, she came with a cool little headband. But I was actually quite proud of my first attempt at crocheting, even with all those errors, because she actually turned out quite well. And then I made this dude. This is my hockey player cat. So, small story is I am a big, huge fan of ice hockey. And so much so that I even took a trip to Minnesota in 2013. I'm sorry if I said that in a very British way then. And then me and a couple of friends who live in Minnesota drove down to Chicago because I am a Chicago Blackhawks fan, and I know of someone out there who is a Nashville Predators fan who may or may not be watching this video, but who was very upset about the outcome of the Stanley Cup final this year. And so was I, to be honest, because I am not a Pens fan. I said it there. But anyway, my team are the Chicago Blackhawks, and this was supposed to be my version of a Chicago Blackhawks cat. I was quite proud of this, actually, because it's the second cat I made, and I actually amended the pattern myself so that I could get the jumper right, the jersey, and then the shorts and the socks and the skates and his helmet. So I amended it myself, and I think he turned out quite well, although he has some errors too, like the stuffing's coming out the bottom of his feet, and he's got some, his arm is coming unstitched, so my tension wasn't right, and the colour changes could do with a bit of work, because it's the first time I'd done, a colour change. Is actually the second time. I'm so sorry, I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so this is the second attempt, and I'm going to think about putting a little bit of plastic over his face so that he has a visor, and he needs skates and a hockey stick. So those were my crochet projects. No, you can't have them. They're my kitty cats. So that is my cats. And then my next project was this little cutie here. It is by, who's this by? Sweet and Cute Creations on Etsy, I believe. No, Facebook, sorry. I found this one on Facebook. And it is Fifi the Fennec Fox. I think I bought this, so I can't show you the pattern, but she does turn out extremely cute, so you can make her stand up or lying down. I've gone for the lying down version, because I think that is the cutest. And I have her in this little bag. I didn't get very far, because I started stitching, and then I just lost it along the way, but she has a head with a nose, which is quite good, and I have her body, which is hilarious because I don't even care. I'm going to show you all the mistakes I make in my things, but I didn't put a hole in the back and I didn't put a hole in the front, so how am I supposed to stuff this thing? So I am actually going to have to find a way to stuff it or re-sew it, because there is no way there is any stuffing getting in there. So yeah, well done, Siri. not very good, is it? No. So that's the Fennec box, and then finally, which is the one I have been re-inspired to do because I've seen Phil crocheting one. It is My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, and it's this little beauty up here. Except I'm sort of doing similar colours to the one down here because I prefer the colours to the blue, which means it's not an actual My Little Pony, but I'm whatever. Very blasé, I know, but that's how I roll. I do what I want. So I've actually done quite a bit of this one. We have, I think this is the head. Okay, so I think I have like massive amounts of thread to sew with because I panic, and because with the cats I tended to not have enough. So there was that. And I've got the 2 legs, which she kind of needs 4. So maybe might have to stitch another 2 because I completely forgot, like a doofus, that she has 4 legs. Then there's the neck, 2 ears and a nose. And I had stitched the body, which, like a fool, I left loose in my stitching bag, so it started to unravel. Luckily I started again, and I've left a long enough trail so that I don't start unravelling, but this is the start of the body. I know you shouldn't abandon something half-stitched, but honestly, there is only so many times my arthritic bones can handle. She said, I've got arthritis in my legs, not in my hands, so you shouldn't listen to me. There's only so much I can crochet at one time, so I tend to put it down quite quickly. So those are my whips for my crochet. Ow, sorry, there we go with my arthritic bones. So a little story about actually cross-stitching in the hospital. So I went to the hospital on, when was it now? Tuesday? I think it was Tuesday. Nothing major. I was born with clubfoot as a child, and I had corrective surgery as a baby. I was born as a child. I was born with clubfoot, and I had corrective surgery. So I can walk, which is a blessing. And the only downside with surgery, because this happened in 1984, and the only problem with surgery on clubfoot is that later in life you can develop some problems. And when I turned about 16, I started getting pain in my foot and my ankle and my foot, and since then it's progressed to my knee and my hip, and I have arthritis in my feet, and there's potential arthritis going on in my hips and knees. So it's hard sometimes. So I went to the hospital because I'm getting fitted for shoes, which should help with the pain. I'm getting fitted for insoles. And we were cross-stitching in the chairs, and there was, so I thought I'd get out my bee and do some more progress on the bee. And when we were sat there, the nurse came out and called me in, and she was talking to me while I was in there. She was just like, so were you cross-stitching? And I was like, yeah. She went, I didn't realise people your age did it. And I don't think she realised. She must have seen my notes. But I was like, I'm 32. And she's just like, yeah, but it just doesn't seem like a young person thing. And she was like, you look so much younger. And I was like, yeah, I'll take that. Anytime someone wants to tell me I'm younger than 32 is quite okay with me. But I just felt like I see so many young people cross-stitching, and when you hear something like that, it does make you think there's such a wider community out there who just see it as an old person craft. And I don't mean it like that, because there are plenty. Like, my nan loves cross-stitching and crocheting, but so do I. And at one point, I think my brothers did it, and my sister did it, and we did it as a family. I remember sitting there for ages, just each of my 4 brothers had a cross-stitching pattern, and my sister had a cross-stitching pattern, and I had a and it was so much fun. We just did it as a family activity, and I appreciate seeing different age groups of people with cross-stitch, because I just think it's such a wonderful craft, and it's a wonderful thing to do. And I wish there was more of it in this town, and I wish there was more of it in general, just because I think it's such a great activity, and you can produce such amazing pieces of work. And the love and care that go into the creation of patterns just gets to me. So, yeah, that was my brief little story there. Bit lame, but sorry. Anyway, the final thing I have to show you today, because it is 25 minutes already and almost time for me to go home, but as you will have seen on Instagram, my activity of choice at the moment is, in fact, a plushie. And I made my first version of this plushie for my brother's girlfriend. And I say my brother because I've got 4. There is Adam, Robert, Andrew and David. And Robert's girlfriend is a Toothless fan. I love How to Train Your Dragon. And I think I was talking about it one day in the car. And she was just talking about how she couldn't find a cuddly toy or plushie version that she didn't look weird, and to be fair, the official version of the Toothless toy does look a bit disturbing, if you've ever seen it. So I went online and sought to find a plushie pattern, and I found one, and I made it, and he was about this big, and the pattern was good, but the face didn't look quite right, and but she loved it, and it had his little tail, and it had a saddle, so Toothless was fine, and she loves him. And then my sister happened to see the finished version on Facebook and asked me if I would make her one. And I thought, yeah, I can, but do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make it bigger. So instead of just doing it slightly bigger, I thought, let's blow it up quite large. So I ended up with a 3-foot-long Toothless. Probably from wingtip to wingtip and from head to tail, he was about 3 foot. So basically, 9 foot square. I think I just did my maths right there. So he's huge. And then I wanted one because Toothless is my favourite. So recently I dug out all of my craft supplies because I've had a revival thanks to Mare. And I found some fleece that I had left over from the last Toothless, and I went to our indoor market where they have the fabric stall. They only have fleece, they don't have any Ada or Laguna or any of the cool fabrics. They only have fleece. They don't only have fleece, I'm so sorry. They have like fleece and fur and, you know, like normal fabric. What am I saying? I'm so sorry. Just it's a fabric store. I'm just going to lie down. I think I need to lie down. Anyway, so far I'm sorry he's inside out right now. He was the right way in, but I had to turn him back inside because he needs some stitching. But this is Toothless's body. I don't know how well you can see it from there, but those are his front legs, and then you've got his 2 back legs, which I'll hold up, and then you have his super long tail, which stays open all the time, so you can see him there. This is Toothless. So he is quite big. His tail stays open to make it easier to sew on the tail fins, which he has obviously the main tail fins, one of which is the artificial tail fin, and then he has the butt fins, as they're called. I do tend to turn him right side out sometimes because I hand stitch Toothless, so he is hand stitched. Every single thing is hand stitched because I am not overly confident on a typewriter. I was going to say that. I'm definitely confident on a typewriter. I'm not too confident on a sewing machine, so I hand stitch everything. And I was using a running stitch because it seems to be the simplest stitch, and then I saw a tip about using blanket stitch, and since then I have found that it makes the stitches so much tighter and you can't see them very well, and there's no hint of stuffing poking out or anything, which is something you have to worry about with joints and bits where stuff attaches. For instance, this is Toothless's head. You can even see his little head spikes. Let's see if we can get his head spikes in the right... No, you're not going to be able to see them very well, are you? No. But anyway, this is his head. Toothless's head. The lighting is really bad in here and I'm so sorry for that. With his head, when you're stitching it on the outside, there's a lot of joins. I'm not really sure, you know what, I'm going to use my phone to put the flashlight on, because I am nothing if not industrial, resourceful, that's the one. So, as you can see, it's quite, there we go, sorry if that's blinding you there. You can see the joins in his head, and there are quite a lot of them because you have to sew on all these individual ears, get sewn on. So, it can be quite hard to, I've just got to turn it off, sorry, I'm so sorry. Get them all right without ending up with holes that stuffing pokes through in the end, which was another one of my issues with the very first attempt. And then of course there are the wings, which are these huge, great big monstrosities. And they end up quite floppy because, as you can imagine, they're quite big, and once you've sewn on two and you've added the arms, they can be quite heavy on Toothless and they just drag. So I am actually attempting, I brought it with me today, I'm just going to show you. I bought some of this, which is garden wire that they use in flower crafting and garden crafting. It's quite hard, but what I was thinking was I'm going to try and make them poseable, but it will also give it some strength to make sure that it doesn't fall. Now, I've never done this, so I've never, to be fair, Toothless was my first plush, and I will try and add a picture in now so that you can see what he looks like. So yeah, I've never actually made a Toothless. I've never made a Toothless before Toothless, no, really. I've never made a plush before Toothless, and he was my very first. So we will see how those wings go. Hopefully I can make it work. And then my next part of Toothless to do are his feet. This is one of his foot pads. And because I am nothing if not obsessive, he has 4 individual claws on each foot. So I have to sew these to his foot pad and then to the legs. I just think he looks so cute with his little claws, and then he has his all of his back ridges on the legs. It's so involved, but he looks so good once he's done, so hopefully I will be able to put a picture in for you to see. Well, that is all I have for you this time around. When you probably got bored of hearing me talk, to be honest, there's nothing else in my bag. I will probably film myself stitching again and just talking to you guys, because I do like to connect with people. I think it's an important part of stitching. And I love watching Flosstube and just getting to know you guys, and just having friends internationally is such a good thing for me, because I love sending mail, and I love just knowing people across the globe. Like, I have friends in continental Europe, I have friends in Poland, Germany, France, Belgium, Portugal, and then I have my stateside friends, and then there are my friends in Oz and Japan and China. I love having a wide network of people who are like-minded and just fun. So yeah, I'm sure I've got plenty more to talk about, but at the moment it is 9:15, and I have been on this video for 30 minutes. So I should probably go and put the dogs to bed and sort myself out. So yeah, this has been me droning on for half an hour about not much cross stitch. I'm so sorry about that. But hopefully you've learnt a little bit more about me than you wanted to know. But yes, so goodbye Flosstube. I hope you have a brilliant week, and it pops. I am just going to go, and I wish you have a wonderful week, and goodbye.